My orc brothers and sisters, rise up! Yes, yes. We have arrived. The fighters have arrived. Are you ready, boys? Are you ready to look at this goddamn REN'KAI? Look at the game, actually. Look at the game. Wait, should we see if we can fix it? Wait. We do this. We start off with this, right? We go right-click filters, and we'll turn on saturation. Does it look slightly better with what is that? A 2.6% increase in saturation. I think it does, dudes. I think the 2% increase in saturation just it makes the game pop a little bit more. It's subtle, but it makes the game pop. I'm gonna turn the saturation on. Okay, I'm turning the saturation on.
Okay. Two of our absolutely stellar and glorious senior designers on the combat team, Trad, Brian. How are you guys doing?
Trad and Brian. Oh shit! Yeah, the stream was amazing. Yeah,
doing pretty good here. Glad to be back on stream.
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you both. I know you guys have put in a lot of work and I think really representing pretty well what a lot of people who played fighters and other MMOs.
Should we start with an out of 10? What was the stream out of 10, boys? What did you think? A 6, an 8, a 6, an 8, an 8. So we got 8s, 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 7s, 7s, 9.5. I mean, 9.5. I don't know. Is it a little bit generous? I mean, it was a great archetype. It's been the best archetype preview so far, right? By a long shot. What talents? What did you think of the actual moment-to-moment gameplay? Did it satisfy your low IQ action combat needs? Your action combat needs, even though it's clearly still tab targeting. It's funny that the combat, which was still one of the most people's concern a few months ago, now looks like one of the best. Yeah, that's crazy, right? Okay, let's talk about that. Is there an MMORPG currently out there that has combat that looks better than Ashes right now? Because I don't think BDO looks better than what that fighter showed.
About the class, I'm excited to chat with you about the direction you guys have taken. And obviously, helping to make that a reality, feature team owner on the combat side, as well as one of our senior engineers. Keenan, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Also, join the stream. Obviously, because this stream it did drag on a tiny little bit. I did start noticing the grass. Does the grass look good? Does the wind on the grass look good? I feel like it needs to be displaced slightly.
And now that you mention it, I think that original fighter stream was actually my first stream.
Was it really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah, it looks like we're nitpicking. We're nitpicking, aren't we? We're nitpicking a little bit. Does it matter? Here's a better question. Does it matter? Does it fucking matter? Who's thinking to themselves, I hate playing Ashes of Creation because of the grass? The fucking grass!
I think it was. I think you're right. Yeah.
I ain't playing because of that grass!
Yeah, there was a lot of work that went into kind of obviously changing the direction of melee and combat.
The reason I brought it up is because obviously the comparison to this version is like PAX Day's version.
In general at that time, and now we are seeing some of the fruitful persistence in that direction.
I'm just going to say it. The entire comment section is filled with Stockholm Syndrome. People have no standards these days. What's the point of playing another tab target MMO? LOL. Doesn't matter how much you try to style the abilities and make them look good and look better visually. It's still tab target primarily. And that just ruins everything. You need it to be tab targeting because you need the ability to do single target like actions, right? And without single target actions where you specifically target somebody and then use an ability on that one specific, it removes a lot of skill and teamwork in the gameplay, because by being able to select a single target and doing something like stunning it, it allows you to make plays that really that assist a group dynamic. Like, for example, interrupts.
I'll let you guys know is obviously we are here, back again, in the Riverlands, and we are actually in front of Oakenbane Keep, which is an area you guys saw at the end of the last live stream, from Commission's live stream.
Spoilers! What the fuck? Spoilers!
And right when we ended that live stream, a story arc began in this area called An Ancient Violence. And we're going to be going in there and taking a look around, but first, I think what we should do is something that we have successfully done in the past.
Look at that scene, dude.
I think what we should do is
when he turns the camera and the light's like on his face.
something that we have successfully done.
Oh, it looks so badass, doesn't it? Like, look at that badass. What looks even better than the last month too? Yeah, Spectre's had some more polish.
To show off each individual ability first, talk about what they do, and give you guys a sense of the archetype and the abilities available to us before we get in to combat with some freaky Goblin Town stuff.
You hate the mana on the fighter. Yeah. The amount of times he ran out of mana was a bit question mark.
Awesome. All right. Very cool. So, which should we start with first? What do you guys think?
Start with Blitz.
Blitz? All right. Let's see. Blitz is the first
Yeah,
one
let's,
on the
let's
bar.
go. Let's go down the bar.
All right, let's do it. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Why don't...
Cooldowns. True. Yeah, because he turned off his cooldowns. That's true. When he did the Goblin segment, did he turn on his cooldowns? Did he turn on his cooldowns when he went to the Goblin section? He did. So we can see what the cooldowns are technically.
Don't we first start with momentum? That sounds like a good idea, because
Sure.
momentum is obviously going to be referenced in Blitz. I was just looking at that, and as well as
Generate 1 combat momentum when hitting targets. So here's a question: does the greatsword cleave? Did we notice if the greatsword cleaved? I can't remember. I'll admit I did phase out during the Goblin bit. Does the greatsword cleave? Yes, when you just swing in the greatsword, does it cleave the basic weapon attacks? Did anyone notice? I mean, we could just have a quick peek. The ring, yeah, the ring thing, the selection thing. Is this new? This is a revamp. This is revamped. The target ring, yeah.
there's a lot.
I'm pretty sure that's revamped. Maybe it was revamped in the last live stream actually.
So,
Because it's like it tells you which direction they're facing. It's just a good function.
yep. I think that's how it goes.
It does cleave. It does cleave.
Yep. I think that's how it goes.
Yeah, it does cleave. So generating 1 combat momentum when hitting targets. So if you cleave 3 targets, does that mean you gain 3 momentum per swing?
Let's do this.
Also, did you notice that he's picked up a wolf carcass? I noticed that too. What do you think that is? A wolf carcass. Do you reckon it's hunting? Like furniture, animal husbandry? Do you think it's like the hunting profession? And you butcher the wolf carcass? It's like a grey item. I don't know. It looks like the icon looks like a placeholder. What's your guys' opinion on looting? I think looting should be done with the mouse. And it should be AoE loot. Is that a controversial take? Is that a weird take? I don't like the idea of looting with the F button. Because I feel like it creates a mentality where you're just running around and you're just spamming F. I feel like the act of there's no reason for it not to be AoE looting. Yeah, but the point I'm trying to say is is I think it feels better to loot with your mouse because it's kind of like a deliberate action you're doing. Whereas when it's on F, the gameplay becomes you just blow up a pack of mobs and then you spam an F, right? You just spam an F. And there's no attachment to it, right? There's no attachment. It gets tedious with the mouse. I don't think it does, man. I just don't think it does. What about when a legendary or like a certain tier of item drops? So like purple, no, not purple, like what's a tier above purple? Like orange? When something orange drops, what about a little sound effect? Would you guys like a little sound effect when orange loot drops? I feel like that's an ARPG mechanic too.
Environment and how it works.
But I think it's a cool as fuck mechanic. And I think it would work well in an MMO. Like a cool little sound effect, like a cool sound effect. They do really cool little dings.
However, we've changed.
Yeah, like a legendary drop in I don't know, I don't play Diablo. Oh, what did you guys think about the destructible environments? Did you like when they mentioned, because destructible environments, that was mentioned so long ago, right? You know, things are going to get destructible, and like that was one of the features that I heard Steven talk about, and I thought to myself, they're never going to add that. They can't add that to an MMO. You can't have destructible things in an MMO. That's what, on top of everything else you've already got. There's no way they're going to add that. Right, but they've got it. It's here. It exists. Like, it's crazy, man. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it turns you into more of a aggressive mobile character if you go with that. Like, you're killing enemies and then you need to pick a new target. He might be far away. You charge to him, kill him, rinse and repeat.
Cool. All right, let's take a look at this.
What do you guys think this is? Do you think this is the new block? This has got to be the block effect. When somebody blocks, it does this. Yeah, it's got to be the active blocking.
Ooh, nice. Okay, that was cool. And
Magic shield. No, I think it's just blocking. It's just I think it's just active blocking.
presumably this also scales verticality as well.
Let's
Oh yeah, what did you guys? Oh shit! What did you guys think of the jumping?
test it.
And guys, for the purposes, obviously, of this demonstration, I've set my cooldowns to 0 so that I can more repeatedly use, Oh, here we go. We got some...
The way that it looks so good.
Kill those little mushrooms, huh? I don't want to spoil the skills.
And because you've got the leap, you've got the jump charge. Oh, man. Wait, oh, God. Ah! Do I want to be a fighter? Do I want to be a fighter? They look so cool, though.
For you.
They look so cool.
It's a kind of stormy day with this ancient
Oh
battles.
man, I don't know, man. I want to be like, I want to see what rogue is like first. But then again, I want to be a cleric. Yeah, no, bard definitely. Bard does not appeal to me. It just as a default, right? It just doesn't appeal to me. Just being like a bard, nah, that's not for me. Summoner doesn't appeal to me either. I'm either a rogue, fighter, or a cleric.
All right, so I'm going to try to jump. I'm going to try to scale this thing on...
Also, look at the water.
I thought so.
All right.
Look at the way, like, the ripple. Look at the edge of the water here.
So I'm going to try to jump. I'm going to try to scale this.
You see that shit? Look at the way that it kind of, like, creeps up on. Look.
I thought so.
All right, so I'm going to try to jump. I'm going to try to scale this thing on you. Let's see here.
What the f***? That looks crazy. I think that looks cool. Plastic, yeah, a little bit plastic, but that's fixable, right?
Oh, man, now that is cool. That was awesome.
Oh, I missed the attack. Yeah, look at the attack again.
All right, so I'm going to try to jump. I'm going to try to scale this thing on you. Let's see here.
Oh, it's like Goku, mate. It's literally like Goku. This is Goku. Watch this. Oh, look at that in slow-mo. Boom! That looks good.
All right, so I'm gonna try to jump. I'm gonna try to scale this thing on you. Let's see here. Oh man, now
no.
that is cool. That was awesome. Let me do.
Yeah, it's good. Is Steve? Do you think Steven's jumping and then pressing the button, or do you think the game is jumping for Steven? I can't tell.
Yeah, now that is cool.
He's 100% jumping. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I want to believe that he's jumping himself, but then again, it is Steven, right? It is Steven, the guy that said, "Where's the boss?" whilst having the boss selected, and then ran in a giant circle until actually coming back to the boss.
That was awesome.
Can Steven press 2 buttons that quickly?
Let me do that again.
Yeah, this is kind of an answer you get to like that archer on the ledge that's just
He's just misclicked.
free shooting on you, and it's like, oh,
He just misclicked again.
I'm just gonna get up there with you.
Oh, my bad. Let me try this one more time.
Okay, yeah. He's definitely jumping.
With you.
Oh, my bad. Let me try this one more time.
Yeah, I think that's him jumping.
That feels really good, by the way.
It does look very good. It does look very good. I can't wait. What class do we start with? What class do we start with, mates? Ah, we start with cleric. Surely.
Feels clean. Very clean. Oh, did somebody also die over here?
Just a little mushroom.
Is there stuff like in the background? I think it's them killing mobs in the background.
Oh, a little mushroom. Okay. Blitz feels really good. Well done with that. I like that. It's super smooth.
Yeah, I agree.
And fluid. It feels.
Yeah, I agree.
There's not really any movement interruption either on contact or at the initiation, which is obviously one of the most, ideal feeling points of any mobility skill. Right? Is that fluidity throughout. Okay, let's talk about the next one. So we have Brutal Cleave.
Okay. This is just the basic cleave, right?
Yep, this is probably your most...
Perform a wide sweeping attack dealing damage to all enemies in front of you. This ability shares a cooldown with Overpower, and hitting an enemy with a weapon combo finisher reduces its cooldown by 8 seconds. So is Overpower's cooldown literally 8 seconds?
bread and butter AoE attack.
What's the floating crystal thing? Yeah, it's a respawn, I guess. Yeah, it's a respawn. These were in Alpha 1 too, by the way. We don't know what the lore behind this is, though. Do you reckon the lore will ever be explained?
You can...
But why is it? Because it's always been that. It's always been that weird crystal-y float thing. So they must have they must have a reason for it.
So if you're like going back and forth between cleaves and weapon attacks, you get to do more of them and have more uptime.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so this does...
Also, the more targets you hit, so that's why it's really good in AoE situations, is you get more momentum based on how many targets you're hitting.
Got it. So after jumping in with Blitz, especially if there's multiple targets, going with a Brutal Cleave is just going to really ramp that momentum.
Look at that, though. 10 to 20 combat momentum based on how many targets hit. So does that mean if you charge into a group of like 6... or you charge into a Zerg, and you immediately start with Brutal Cleave, does that instantly put you up to 100 momentum? Just instantly? Because if say you cleave like 4, right? So 4 times 15 is 30. No, 60. Plus you get another 20, so you get like 80. Wait, 20 is max. No, it doesn't say that. Dealing damage. Oh, you just mean... Oh, you don't... Oh, it's not... Oh, so it's not for each enemy hit. It's just in total. Just one hit. Just one use. Okay, that makes more sense.
And him. And then it looks like also that this ability, it says share.
Well, this one, we're talking about this one in particular, just because it's boosted, right? It's boosted because you've given up an extra point, and then it's given that. What do you guys think about 1 point per, like, buff per spell? Do you think 1 point is too little? This game looks insane. Like, oh, wait. Okay, what do you think about this spell effect? What do you think about this spell effect? Good?
Hit, but it is a shorter counterpart to this attack.
This is frame by frame.
Single target hit, but it is a shorter cooldown, so you can.
I don't think it's that bad. I think it's actually quite decent.
You can reset them more frequently, and it's.
Yeah. I don't think that's fine. I think that's fine.
It's
right?
just a single target hit, but it is a shorter cooldown, so you can reset them more frequently, and it's also generating your resource. So it kind of you're choosing which one to use based on what your enemies are.
Very cool. That look.
I think maybe the only like critique is maybe it's just a bit too big. Maybe just a bit too big. If you just make it a little bit smaller, then maybe it'll be fine, right? But the actual effect itself, I think, is fine.
Sure.
It's just a bit too big. Speaking of orcs, I wonder if you can change the skin color. Because we know that you can be red, right? But can you be like ashen? Can you be like dark brown? Like an ashen dark brown, kind of like a black rock orc. That's what I want. I want like a black rock orc.
The effects turned out like make.
Yeah, the female orc. Yeah, I was sad. I was sad there was no female. I really like the shaken, riled, and tripped synergy. They did bring up an interesting discussion about debuffs. And they spoke about limitations on debuffs. Which is fine for binary debuff, like shaken, riled, and tripped and stuff. But what about stacking debuffs? Are stacking debuffs even a thing? So I'm talking about things like curse, or bleed, or burn, or wound. Yeah, wound. Yeah, exactly, right? These and poison, right? Did these stack, and how does that work? Because Guild Wars 2 do this. Guild Wars 2 have got these global buffs or global debuffs, and there's a slight issue with it, right? Because back in the day, there used to be a cap. And when there was a cap, it made fighting world bosses it made you being a bleed build or a poison build or a curse build or whatever it is, a burn build. It made those builds completely unviable. Can't stand debuff caps. Just increase the boss issue. But it's not about that, is it? It's about the build itself, right? In my opinion, in Guild Wars 2, they've obviously fixed this now and it's no longer an issue. But back when Guild Wars 2 launched, all condition-based builds were completely useless and unviable, simply because of that debuff cap. So I wonder if Ashes of Creation understands that, and if they're going to preemptively design the game to counter that issue. Did you guys like this spell? This was the spell that I used for the thumbnail, because I thought it was just so... It looks so cool.
That looks so good. Love it. That is awesome.
Especially with the projectile.
Okay.
That shit was insane.
Now this is going to give you obviously a lot more range. Oh!
Yeah, look at that.
Obviously a lot more range.
We did slow-mo. Wait, why isn't it slow-mo? Okay, here it comes. Here it comes. Oh my god, it's some Goku shit. It's some Goku shit again, dude. It's some fucking Goku shit. Oh! Oh, look at that shit, dude. That looks so good.
Oh! Oh.
This adds a piercing projectile on top of the attack, so you're still getting that frontal AoE hitbox that's staying the same, but you're adding a projectile on top.
Imagine if... The thing is, what you got to remember is that these have all got cooldowns. So Steven's spamming it again and again and again and again. It looks cool as fuck, right? But this is never going to actually happen. And I was thinking, what if one of the cooldowns that the fighter has, like for example, we've got this one, haven't we? What was it called? It was called Exert. What if there's another type of Exert where it's, I don't know, it's called something else, like, I don't know, Inner Rage or whatever. Inner Rage, right? And Inner Rage, it makes you take more damage. It does the same thing, so it consumes your momentum. But instead of like giving you a movement speed buff and immunity, instead what it does is it removes all of your cooldowns, and it makes it so some abilities can be spammed during the whole duration. So like you can use it at range and then hit people at range. That'd be cool.
That feels really good. That is awesome. I'll give myself some mana.
That's some good range. It doesn't really, though, does it? It's got one ability that's got range, and that's it. And that ability is probably on a long cooldown. I feel like it's got 0 range. Would you got? I would argue that the fighter's got 0 range. Instead of range, the fighter has gap closers instead. So instead of giving the fighter the ability to attack from a range, you give them the ability to close gaps instead, and that's what the class is built around. The archetype's built around.
Okay, cool. I love MAME. That is an awesome ability. Let's talk about Battlecry.
This is definitely one of my personal favorites. It doesn't do damage, but it's got some really cool effects going on with it. So, do you want me to...
Do we know what Staggered does yet? Can anyone tell me what Staggered does? Is it a preliminary buff to trigger like a stun or something?
Start talking about, or do you want to use it first?
Like a daze. Yeah, what does it do though?
Okay, cool. So I love this as an...
Okay, so what did you think about this one? What did you think about this one?
Or do you want to use it first? Okay, cool. So I love this as an AoE opener. What it does... It
sounds sick. Here's what I'm hoping that I can do. I hope that I can individually change the sound settings. Because what I want is, I want the ability to hear the combat, but I want the ability to turn off the music, turn off the ambience, hear the combat, hear the gathering, and turn off mob sound effects. Right? I hope that all these sounds have got different options to adjust. Stagger in Pathfinder reduces actions. Probably kind of like a slow hit. So do you think it's kind of like a preliminary... I think it might be a preliminary to trip. I think it's a preliminary to tripping them up.
And then it will generate a certain amount of combat momentum per ally that you riled.
The target's physical abilities are either muted or inaccessible. Oh, so it's like a silence for physical abilities. Interesting. Wait, that's crazy powerful. When in a staggered state, the target's physical abilities are either muted or inaccessible. Crazy.
People are like, what is shaken? What is...
Because I do agree, there is a weird delay.
What is riled? Well, shaken right now is a debuff on enemies that whenever they take damage, they have a small chance...
Do we know what riled does? Riled is a unique debuff, I suppose.
...to become tripped, so...
Does Stagger do anything to mages? Well, you got to remember that these debuffs, they lead to other debuffs. So, although Stagger might not initially do something to a mage, eventually the Stagger will get triggered into a stage 2 debuff, which is probably trip. So a trip obviously does affect a mage, because a trip is essentially just a stun.
There's some good combos with this where like you go into like a multi-hit
That's how I think it's designed currently, I think.
AoE, and you can capitalize on that.
You love the foliage? Yeah, we were talking about the foliage earlier. I felt like the grass blowing, it needs a little bit of stagger added to it. Just a tiny little bit of stagger.
And then
Because it feels like the grass is like, so this grass over here is like swaying, but then this grass all the way over here is also swaying at the same time. So it's instead it should be staggered slightly, so it should be like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Should be ever so slightly staggered.
by tripping or by triggering.
Because it's wind, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's wind. So wind rolls through. You know, wind isn't a global movement.
Trip status,
It rolls, doesn't it?
that flows into maim really well. So that's one of the combos I like to do is shout into like a whirlwind, which you'll see in a bit, into maim to do extra damage against targets that have procced that effect.
Yeah, these are feeling great. Wow, I do like the battle cry. That is
Yeah, the battle cry is cool.
like probably the most standard feeling like.
The sword attack's choppy. Polish. I don't know. A lot of people. I know a lot of people said that. They didn't really like the basic sword attack. Hey, I'll tell you what though. It wasn't the sword attack that we saw in the caravan stream, was it? This is completely different. So I wonder how the development works then. Are things that the PIs get, or are the things that they show on the streams, are they like months behind, or what? Like, what's going on with that? That's crazy to me. Do we know what % of these talent trees we're going to be able to fill? I don't think there's a specific. I don't think there's a. We can assume that there's going to be 54 max points, but at the end of the day, we don't really know. And again, it's probably subject to balance. Right? What will it start off as? It'll probably start off as 70% of the tree.
Speed, the longer you
Or maybe even 50%. What do you guys think it should be? So, they say that we can have, like, up to 45 abilities, right? That's what they say, like, between 30 to 45 abilities. So then how many points are they going to give us? Are they going to give us 45 points? And then if we want, we can get all of the abilities. However, we can start upgrading the abilities, and then that gives us less maximum points, and therefore there's a few abilities that we can't take. Is that how it's going to work?
you hold it. There's also a spec option on the right if you want to pick that. That gives a final upward swing at the end.
Like, for example, why is it 54? Like, what's causing it to be 54? Is this just a dev command? I don't know.
That has some additional bonuses to it.
Okay. So let's do it without the spec first.
If you can get all the abilities in the battle pass, it's not a talent tree. But you can get all the abilities, but you can't upgrade any of them. So I assume it works thusly. If you want, you can take all the base abilities and you can have 45 damn abilities to press. Or 35, right? Or 20. All right, you can have 20 abilities to press. However, by taking 20 abilities, it means that you can't upgrade those abilities to do the extra things. Like, for example, that ranged attack. In order to do that ranged attack, then you have to spend an extra point. So technically, you're spending 2 points on that ability to make it a ranged attack. And is that extra point worth it? Is that extra point worth losing another ability? Do you see what I mean? Is it a legit build to have 10 maxed out abilities, or would it be trash? That's a question, isn't it? Yep, that is a question.
Cool. So it exits out after essentially the spinning there. Let's see.
Yep.
Oh, I'm out of mana. There we go. Let's try it again.
Yeah.
Also, look at that.
Let's try it again.
reflect. You see that? The shield procs. Right, he hits the shield, it procs, and then it gives a reflect. And he takes damage. Oh, f***. I wonder if that's part of the shield skill tree. And it allows you to reflect damage. And you also notice it cancels his block too.
That's right.
It procs the shield and it cancels his block.
Again.
Yeah, you're also able to move during it as.
Oh shit, that's cool. Oh shit, that's cool as f. Wait, oh my god, wait. What the hell?
You're seeing here. So
Cool.
it's pretty nice to be able to just kind of like use this while you're moving through a pack of mobs.
Got it. So let me spec now into the option that I could invest in.
What happens with the big attack? Yeah. Well, we'd have to test that in Alpha 2, won't we? You like how Whirlwind can be cancelled? Yeah, true. You notice it didn't proc that time.
Blow, essentially.
But it did cancel the shield again. It didn't proc that time, but it did cancel the shield.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So you get a
Weird. I wonder how the shield works. That's great. Wait, I wonder how the shield works.
big hit at the end. Also, you can stop this at any time, so you're seeing him do the full chain.
Yeah, do you think it's like you can only block like once? You can only block once every like few seconds or some shit.
Channel, but if it's like,
Wait, that's crazy.
oh, I want to, cancel out of it early. For, like, let's say one thing I'll do from time to time is if I shake in enemies and then
It's definitely cancelling his shield, isn't it? He's not letting go of the button. It's definitely cancelling his shield.
and this ability is kind of good at tripping enemies because it's hitting really rapidly. You might see it
Do we ever get to see the tank's POV? If we get to see the tank's POV, we should look at his bars.
tripping.
See if he has like a block on his bars.
You can cancel out of it into a maim early if you want to show off that combo.
Into a maim, yep, let's do it.
That one reflected again, didn't it? Look.
Into a maim, yep, let's do it.
Right, he hits. He blocks. And it instantly reflects. He doesn't actually take any damage. Oh, he does. Sorry, he does take damage. He blocks, it instantly reflects. And then it cancels. It doesn't cancel the shield. Unless... It did cancel the shield. It did cancel the shield. Look at this jump, dude. Bro. And then it's like you just slam down like, oh my god, bro, that looks so good, dude. What the f, dude? That looks so good, dude. What the f?
There you go.
Oh, no.
What the f, dude?
Nice, that's cool. That feels good.
Are they adding a stamina bar? Yeah, I assume so, right? I think they did speak about it this stream. Did they? Did they speak about it this stream, the stamina bar? Remind me. They might have. They might have spoke about it this stream, I can't remember. Oh, it looks...
Oh, that's so cool. That's awesome.
Look at that again. Look at that one more time.
Cool. That feels good.
So you got Whirlwind. It's interesting that the Whirlwind has pretty much kept its effect from 2 years ago. They didn't update the Whirlwind, really. It's basically the same thing, which is good, right? I felt like 2 years ago it was great. 2 years ago I thought it was probably the best Whirlwind I've ever seen. So I'm glad they kept it.
Oh, that's so cool. That's awesome. Alright, cool. Whirlwind feels good, too. Alright, Cataclysm is another one that we saw a while ago. What's changed with Cataclysm?
Yeah, a lot has changed with this one. It used to be like this big like hammer that would appear over your head, and then it hit like an AoE kind of.
Everyone hated this. Everyone hated the hammer. They fucking hated it.
Far away from you. Overall, it ended up feeling a little awkward to use. We wanted to turn this more into like your big frontal AoE damage.
You hope there's build variety. Yeah, there should be. Because you've only got a limited amount of points to spend.
So this is like the other end of the spectrum, like stronger than MAME.
And also, you don't have to use a greatsword, right? So that's also build differences, right? You could use 2 swords, or you could use a hammer, right? And then the hammer will have a bunch of extra abilities, and that changes the way that things work in terms of like crowd control or debuffs. 2 one-handed sword fighters, yeah, exactly right. Imagine 2 katanas. Oh, imagine a female REN'KAI. Oh my god, imagine this: a female REN'KAI fighter with 2 katanas. Oh, imagine you sheath them as well, man. Oh.
Okay, let us showcase that new Cataclysm. Oh, that
It cancelled his block again.
feels much better. Yeah, that's cool.
Should we go
Feels
that slow
much
motion?
better. Cataclysm.
Even the way that his hand moves is cool, isn't it? The one frame difference there, that looks. I like the way the camera moves. The way the camera moves adds a lot to it. I feel like. Do you guys agree with that? The way the camera moves, it gives it a bit of an impact.
Oh, that feels much better. Yeah, that's cool.
This is also another way to apply shaken to enemies as well.
I don't like the rocks, though. I'll say that. I don't like the rocks. Why is it spiked? Why is it curved spikes?
Yeah, that's cool.
This is also another way to apply shaken to enemies as well.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, look how much damage he takes from the reflect.
Yeah, that's cool.
This is also another way to apply shaken.
Yeah, he does take a huge chunk of damage there just from a block. Wait, so I wonder if there's a counterplay to a block. Is there a counterplay? I wonder if this is a spec that he's specifically got. So you buff the shield in a way that it allows you to only block one ability, one source of damage, but it reflects that source of damage, and then your block goes on cooldown. So then I also imagine that you can probably spec the block to block multiple hits before it goes on cooldown. What do you think about that?
Yep.
Nice. I like that. Obviously, the granularity in that.
Also, you can slightly move, right? He is slightly moving, isn't he?
Mid wind up.
Yep.
Okay, so he can move the direction, but can he move himself?
Nice. I like that. Obviously, the granularity
He can. He is moving. He is moving. Just a little tiny bit.
in that.
Yeah, it gives you a little more agency. Like, you're not just locked in place. Because it is a full rooted ability. You cannot move during this.
Okay, I'll take that back. That must have just been my eyes. Okay, so you can't actually move.
But being able
Wait, I want to read the tooltip.
to locked in place. Because it is a full rooted ability. You cannot.
Cataclysm. Deal heavy damage and apply Shaken to all enemies in an area in front of you. Shaken enemies have a 5% chance to trip when hit, and the effect is removed when triggered. This chance doubles when hit by riled targets. Ooh, so riled is it's not just for the fighter. It's when he does the battle shout, it's for everybody gets riled. So riled must be another global spell. So do you also think that the bard can rile people? That would be one of the Bard's abilities, where they can hit a drum and it riles them. Yeah. Oh, that sounds so cool, doesn't it? Sounds so cool. 2.5 seconds to cast. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really, yeah. Can you interrupt it? We haven't seen any... Have we ever seen, like, an interruption in this game? Like, an ability that's classed as an interrupt? I don't think we have. Then I ask, should the game have an interrupt? I like interrupts. I think off-global cooldown interrupts add a lot of skill to games. I like interrupts a lot.
Yeah, I
Just a button that you can have to shut down casters. I think it's good.
totally agree. I love the freedom feeling there. And that's obviously something that...
It also adds a lot of skill. It also adds a lot of skill, doesn't it? Because you can do that thing where you dupe. Where you start casting a spell, and then someone comes to interrupt you, and you cancel your cast, and then they interrupt you, but they don't interrupt you, and then you can cast freely, because you now know that their kick is on cooldown.
Your target, where if they are moving, while that effect is on them, they will build up wounded stacks. We can say we.
What did you think of the blood? What did you think of the blood?
The effect is on them, they will build up wounded stacks.
It's a bit over the top in it. It's a bit over the top. I feel like instead of it being like explosion of blood, what about a system? What about this? Consider a system where it leaves like a trail of blood on the ground too. What about that?
We can talk about
Yeah, like a blood trail on the ground. Like the blood doesn't splatter out. It just sort of like it's like a small splatter, right? But then it leaves like a trail of blood behind you. I think that'd be cool. Also, I was just thinking, right? I can't stop thinking about the shield. What if the shield changes? What if the shield effect changes depending on how you've spec'd it? And the reason why it looks like this, why it looks like a magical shield, what if the reason for that is because it's spec'd to reflect? And actually, if you spec it in a different way, the shield changes.
target, because the longer they get that up.
So then that's visual information. That's visual information for players who are attacking you, right? They now have information, oh, this shield's going to reflect me. So I now need to consider that.
There are some things over here that you get to unlock as well, which...
Brutality. Weapon combo finishes and extended finishes apply 5 wound stacks plus an additional wound for every 10 stacks already on the target. Each wound stack reduces the target's healing received. So wound is a global debuff. Wait, so wound is a global debuff, and it reduces healing received. Interesting. Up to a maximum of 15%.
Kind of synergize with Rupture.
The fighter using mana. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think what we need to do is we need to play with it first. I do agree that maybe the game having, you know, fighters in particular, fighters, rogue, what else? Tanks, fighters, rogues, and tanks. I feel like them having mana is going to feel bad. It's going to feel a little bit bad. I think what would be a good like solution to that? Instead of them having mana, instead they have an essence-based resource that generates differently on top of the combat momentum. But then again, you think to yourself, no, it can't be stamina, because stamina... No. Stamina is already a different resource. I also feel like the reason why it's designed as mana 2, for 2 reasons. One, for simplicity's sake. If the game's too complicated, it's too complicated, right? And that's just trash. But more importantly, I feel like the reason why everyone has mana is because it gives mana battery archetypes value. And multiple times during this stream, they did talk about the Bard, right? So is the Bard going to be like a mana battery and that's its primary purpose? what happens in a scenario where it's like you're just a cleric and a fighter, and you're two people out in the open world, and you've got no mana battery, and then the fighter runs out of mana, and now the fighter can no longer gap close. That feels bad, right? That would feel bad. Do you not agree that would feel bad? Like, I'm also thinking about the gameplay implications of it, right? It's just you and your friend, you and your cleric friend, you're out in the open world, and then you get ganked by a couple of people. You're trying to fight, right? And you run out of mana, but neither of you can regenerate your mana very efficiently. You're popping potions, you're trying to pop potions, but it's not enough. You're trying to pop your cooldowns, but you get like... but it's not enough. And then you literally cannot gap close, and you just get kited. You just get kited out the wazoo.
Through your weapon combos. So if you really want to lean in...
I mean, it's a take, right? It's a take on the genre. We'll see. We'll test it in Alpha 2. The fighter doesn't gain any new abilities when it's augmented. It's still the same spells. It's just like you add a bit of fire. You're adding a little bit of fire to this spell, I assume. It'd be something like that, right? It'd be like, let's go with, like, what does this say? Brutality. Weapon combo finishes and extended finishes apply 5 wound stacks, plus an additional wound stack for every 10 stacks. Right, so it'd be like adding a fire augment to this. It would be something like, in addition to wound stacks, you also add equal amounts of burning stacks. It'd be something like that. That's how I imagine it. The augment. So a fire augment, it would be, you now add equal amounts of burning stacks.
Specialization.
Right, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they now need to use mana, right? Because...
another copium addict for the cause?
Because the resource that they're consuming, this bar, it is still technically an essence bar. Right? It's still technically tapping into the power of the essence. It just generates slightly differently. And it generates in a way that complements that melee playstyle. What you got to realize is that we're only saying it feels bad for melee classes. So tanks, rogues, and fighters. So they need a resource that generates slightly differently, I feel like. We'll see, though, right? We'll test it.
A standard single target snare. So a pretty common combo you'd use is like blitz into a crippling blow if you're like...
What is this? This is crippling blow? Oh, yes, this is hamstring, isn't it?
Getting on top of a target.
5%? Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying, though, right? Are they trying to make bards relevant as mana batteries to avoid that situation where only 5% of players play bard? Because then you give them that fantasy of being able to be... of being wanted. And just the act of being wanted will make more players play a bard.
That's trying to kite you.
I just hope the game doesn't feel unplayable without a bard.
If you're charging up on a ranger who's like, the last thing they want is you in their face, like, snaring them is gonna force them to maybe use a gap opener because they're not able to outrun you.
I also feel like the effect for it is a bit too big, right? Here's the thing that I don't like about Ashes of Creation spell effects. It's that such minor abilities that don't do anything, that are very minor and they have almost zero impact. For some reason, they've always got a big spell effect attached to them. I'm not quite sure why. But again, we've got to think about what would this look like in a massive raid scenario.
Very cool.
Look at that reflect. We'll slow-mo this one. Yeah, look at that. Look how it procs. There's a slight delay. And then it procs, look. And then it reflects. That's cool, isn't it? Wait, go back.
Them.
Oh, it looks so good. That looks like UE5 Sparks. Yes. That does. But the rest doesn't, right? For example, look at the effect that comes off the reflect. That doesn't look like UE5 sparks. That looks like that's some custom shit there. Look. Because then it sparks out, but then there's also these little flares. That looks cool as fuck, dude. That looks fucking sick. More shit like that is what I want to see.
Very cool. All right, crippling blow, and then we have lethal blow.
This is another one of my favorites.
I mean, let's be honest. It was a 9 out of 10 stream. Let's be honest. It was a 9 out of 10 stream.
This is the execute of the kit.
Have we still got the lighting update to come? Or was this the lighting update? Do we know if the lighting update is still to come?
Single target as well, but the lower health they are,
he didn't mention it, did he?
the harder it's
And I feel like when the lighting update comes, he's going to make a big deal out of it.
gonna hit. So this is really like you're trying to do as much damage with your other abilities as possible, and then when you get them like within that kill threshold, you're just gonna hit him with this, hope for a crit maybe, and you know, finish him off. Use it. There you go.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this is what happens when you die. Where's that weird Russian? This is what happens when you die.
Use it. There you go.
Oh my god.
You turn into like a pile of ash, right? Ignore the blue thing, that's loot. But you turn into like a pile of ash.
God.
So what you were saying earlier, you think because it's a PvP death, it should have a different type of remains. Is that what you're saying? Because it's classed as a PvP death, it should have a different type of remains. Maybe just like a blood stain. Wait, what game does that? Where if you get PvP'd, it leaves a blood stain on the ground. Wait, what game does that? A game does that. Is it Arcade? No, it's Arcade. Yeah, maybe they should do that. Yeah, maybe it should do that. When it's a PvP death, it should also leave a blood stain on the ground. And then people can click the blood stain, and then it can say, so-and-so was slain here. Or you can use an item, right? You can use an item on the blood to detect whose blood it belongs to. What about that as an idea? You use like a reagent, and you could buy the reagent from a vendor that you can only get from some sort of PvP vendor. And if you use the reagent on the blood, it tells you whose blood it is.
This does have a couple spec options as well. One you kind of went over. If you kill them with that, and you...
Because then I feel like that would also create like a scenario where you could whisper that guy, right? You could detect whose blood it is, whisper the guy, and say to him, "Do you need help?" And that's like a social gameplay loop, isn't it?
have the spec.
Let me write that down. Yeah, whisper him, rip bozo. Yeah. That's just funny. Get f***ed. Get f***ed. Just whisper. You get killed, right? And then 15 minutes later, just some random who you've never met just whispers you and says, haha, get f***ed. That's funny.
Splits, you could immediately blitz again, even if it was off cooldown when you got the kill.
We're not playing CSI. It's a game about magic and shit, right? Something to do with CSI. It's a magic thing. It's like a rune. I guess like a detect the blood, some sort of rune, like some sort of blood magic, like blood rune or something like that. Like a blood rune that allows you to, and it costs a bit, right? It's not free. It costs something. So like not everyone's going to run around with these things. It's just going to be the people. Maybe it'll be a thing that's only available to bounty hunters too. Maybe it's a bounty hunter specific thing, and only bounty hunters have access to these blood runes, and they're the ones that can go around and help people, because that's the bounty hunter's like role, isn't it? To like kill corrupted players. So then you could do blood detection, and then whisper the person and get information from the person.
a lot of the time, you know, I've played games where, you know, executes hit really hard, but you waste a lot of the damage, and it's like, oh, I saw a cool big.
Yeah, this was a cool idea. Overkill damage being converted to a resource. That's cool.
Number, but it didn't really do anything. It's kind of wasted. This spec option.
Yeah, that's cool. Cool idea. Whoever came up with that. I don't think we've ever seen that in MMO before, have we? Did WoW ever introduce that? Overkill execute damage being converted to something? I don't think we have we?
And you know what I love about that? It's at least as it relates to PvP, is that you do not have granularity insight to the opponent's hit points. So you're really rolling the dice if you want to maximize efficacy on this consuming
True.
lethal blow.
True. But ultimately, I feel like just killing the guy anyway is your goal, right? The overkill damage doesn't really matter. This is just a bonus. Like, killing the guy is the goal.
Yeah, that's how I've been using it a lot.
Yes.
Like, sometimes I pull
Yeah, I feel like if you're not using execute to kill the guy, you're kind of misusing it.
it off, other times I don't.
Love it. That's super cool. I like that interaction there.
Do we know when you can use lethal blow? Is it below 20%? Have we seen... Wait, where does he... Let's go back to, like, lethal blow. Right, here it is. Perform a powerful descending strike upon the target enemy, dealing additional physical damage based on the amount of missing % health. So it's not even like a... Wait! So it's not even like... It becomes active after a certain amount of health. It's down to you, as a person, to decide when to use it. Interesting. That's a nice design. Wait, that's a nice design.
To open your skill tree here, we can look at the other one.
Let's talk about it. And the, crippling blow did not have any spec.
So you could use it at the start, and then hope that it comes back off cooldown by the time he gets down to percentage health. Or you could not use it and then just save it. Isn't it crazy? When was the last time we saw somebody criticize Ashes of Creation because it has no style? When was the last time we saw that criticism? Do you guys still think Ashes of Creation has no style? I think that's a ridiculous notion. That's a ridiculous notion to even suggest.
A lot of targets around you, you're like popping your AoEs, like this is going to get a ton more.
Let's be relevant here. Let's be real here. The only relevant piece of customization is that Ashes of Creation gets with the times and includes a thigh slider. Oh, man. Imagine if a female REN'KAI dude. Imagine the female REN'KAI dude. Oh my god, why didn't they show the female REN'KAI? Do you reckon it's punishment? Do you reckon them not showing the female REN'KAI? Do you reckon it was punishment for that video that I made? They're punishing me. That's why they didn't show it. Steven's like, do you know what? Pull the female REN'KAI out of the live stream.
That's cool. I like that. So it's an insta-cast that can happen in the middle of any ability activation.
Right.
Nice.
You could, like, start your Cataclysm and then pop that right before it lands.
I really, really like off-global cooldown abilities. I really, really like those. Although they don't call them that in this game, do they? They call it something else. I can't remember what it is. What do they call it? They've got a name for off GCD abilities because the game doesn't have a GCD, so they call it something different. And he mentioned it. He mentioned it in the. Where did he mention it? Right, I've got it in my brain.
What you might know it in other games as off global cooldown tech. We call it simultaneous casting.
Simultaneous casting. That's what they call it. I knew it was there. Simultaneous casting.
That's cool.
Because there is no global cooldown in this game. So, simultaneous casting is what they call it.
That is super cool. Oh yeah, I see that. Okay, very nice. And I like the effect. Effect looks great.
It's got more of that blood theme.
Yes.
Sounds great too.
I also love the audio for it. It's like you're consuming it.
What did I think of the stream as a whole? I reckon this one was a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Last week was an 8. Sorry, last month was an 8. This was a 9. Wait, what's next month going to be? A 9, a 10? Oh, shit.
Obviously, utilizing the resource with lunging.
What would be a 10? What would be a 10? Surely the 10 out of 10 live stream is going to be the one where they announce Alpha 2 and give us the trailer for it, right? The one where they announce Alpha 2, give us the trailer, and drop all the information in one big old trailer.
Assault. Because
Yeah, the announcement, yeah.
Because you're dealing instances of damage to enemies that you...
Well, naval and combat, we're not going to see that for ages.
Impact, you have an opportunity...
Showing hybrid class mechanics. What does that mean? Oh, you mean augments. You mean augments and shit. I don't think we're going to see those for a while either. I think we'll be smack bang in the middle of Alpha 2 before we get to see augments.
If executed well, situationally, that you can...
Well, you say just one. I just don't think it's because he said, didn't he, in this live stream, he even mentioned augments. I think what they're doing is they're building the framework before they can start thinking about augments. Because when they got the framework and then the spells exist and the class is in a good place and we've played the class for a while and it's balanced nicely and they're happy with it, that's when they can start thinking about augments, right? So how long is that going to be? Like 6 months, 8 months into Alpha 2, something like that? I feel like a couple of wipes at least. A couple of wipes at least, to give players like a chance to try a couple of classes properly.
You can actually probably have a net gain with...
Well, yeah, that's a good question, right? Where are augments going to go in this UI? Are augments going to be attached to the buttons, or are they going to have their own separate tab? Like, how's that going to work, right? What does this button do? Do we know what this button does? Is this augments? Click this button, pussy. Hey, Steven, click this button, pussy. I dare you. Click that.
If there's a huge amount of enemies, like a train or something, right?
Yeah, it would probably take a lot of enemies to actually get a
Augments will be gems and gear. No, it can't be. No.
profit, but you can at least mitigate the cost.
Tulnar as well. Yeah, I forget about the Tulnar. So we still got the Tulnar to come to. So like Alpha 2 releases will probably be like a Tulnar expansion, a naval expansion, an augment expansion, a node expansion, maybe a PvP expansion. Then you've got all the biomes. They will also be considered expansions. So these will be like all giant patches.
It's a reposition.
Alright. That's cool. Oh, okay. So it's kind of a...
I like this. This lunging strike thing. I like it.
Not too...
It adds a lot, right? Adds a lot of flavor to the class.
So it's kind of a...
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of you guys are overwhelmingly positive about this month's live stream. Not much nitpicking. There was a lot of nitpicking last month, I felt like. A lot of nitpicking last month. And I feel like there's almost zero nitpicking this month. Yeah, it was a great live stream, wasn't it? Yeah, like I said, 9 out of 10, I'd say. Best live stream so far. The YouTube comment was also positive, was it? Well, the game just looks fantastic, doesn't it? The game looked fantastic last month, right? Nobody's denying that. The game looked absolutely fantastic last month. Like I said, I even made a video, didn't I? I said the game finally starts to look playable. This is finally starting to look like a game. It's so good.
Too far distance there.
Yeah, it's meant to like be more of a repositioner where you're dancing.
Yeah.
Around your target, you might be zipping back and forth between different enemies in melee.
Right.
Whereas you have other tools for going longer distances. You have blitz. You have
r/MMORPG is still being positive. Well, hey, maybe, just maybe, Ashes of Creation's not a scam. Oh shit. Maybe it's not a scam.
the next one that's...
I got a question to ask you guys. Do you see this texture on the floor? But it's a flat texture, isn't it? Have you guys seen the latest Unreal Engine update where they can displace the ground based off the texture? Do you think Ashes of Creation will eventually implement that? And how much better would it make the world look?
About to come up from here. So those are going to be more of your long.
I can't remember which showcase it is. Can you find it? Which one it was? The one where they show... It was I think it was the most recent one, actually. I think it was the most recent one where they showed like a piece of like a road with some snow and a couple of sticks, and then what they did is they changed it and they added this weird tessellation thing, and then it completely changed the scene. It went from a flat texture to this insane, fucking realistic. What the. Like that, it was like, oh, I was like, what the? How is that possible? What the hell? Because what I'm worried about is, the optimization of that is called parallax. No, I think it's different. I think the way that they're rendering it is different because they're using nanite. That's the difference, right? It's because it's nanite. It's like a slightly different way of rendering it, and therefore it doesn't take up so much rendering power, because they were like showing off it's like tens of thousands of millions of polygons out the fucking like polygons out the wazoo. No, I want the actual scene. I want the one. What are you linking?
So, to create a real...
Oh yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, look at this. Watch this.
Really immersive game experience. The characters and environments have to work together.
What is this guy doing? What is this nerd doing? He's got like a camera. Why is the camera on him? It's this weird nerd in the corner of the screen.
They're harmoniously.
He's like crouched over like Gollum. I don't get it.
We can't just drop believable characters into a less than convincing world. So.
Oh, is he the camera? Oh, he's the camera. I thought he was like, reacting to what's going on, like some weird. He's got some weird screen in front of his face, and he's like talking whilst looking at the screen, but he's hunched over like Gollum. I didn't know what the that was.
So we need to start with authentic and densely detailed environments as the setting to our story. And look, because part of our story is set in 1940s occupied Paris, we needed the world.
Yeah, watch the bit where they show it as a flat texture and then they change it. That's the bit I want you to see.
To have a really
it's coming soon.
And visceral level of detail and grit.
It's coming soon, I swear.
As you can see
it's right now.
So, Roman, why don't we focus on the ground here for a bit?
Yeah, Gollum. Did he just call him Gollum? Wait, did he just call him Gollum? Gollum, focus on the ground.
Now look at that. That's an amazing amount of detail. It would have been nearly impossible to get something this complex to run in real time without the new features in 5.4. So, Kim, let's talk about some of the levels of detail that we're seeing here.
Sure. So, we're talking about Nanite's new adaptive tessellation feature.
Oh, well, it is tessellation. Okay, I apologize.
So, whilst Nanite lets you create environments like you're seeing here of
it's a big word, guys. I'm dyslexic.
Incredible detail, the memory...
Yeah, you think it looks fantastic now. You think it looks great now. Like, wait until they show you the flat version of it.
Requirements can become impractical to realize for such a level of complexity across a huge level without the need for lots of instancing. And we thought that was a challenge and we wanted to deal with it.
The snow doesn't impress. It looks like real snow, mate. What are you talking about? It literally looks like real snow. What do you mean it doesn't impress?
So, Colin, let's actually strip this scene right down to the dirt so folks can see what we're talking about.
Here. So this is the flat version. Look at that. So I see this, and you know what I see? I look at this, and I see this. And it reminds me a lot of this, where this is just a flat texture. And I'm wondering, is it possible that Ashes of Creation can eventually add this adaptive tessellation to the game?
So, See how simple this is? Relatively simple ground plane. Actually, let's show the triangle so you can actually see what's there. Just a few hundred.
Yeah. So the texture of the ground is like a flat plane. So the polygons, so the nanite polygons are super big. So obviously it's just worthless, right? What you want nanite to look like is this up here, because this is millions of polygons, whereas this is only like a couple of hundred.
Triangles. Let's pop it back to the beauty render view. But with this new dynamic tessellation capability, we can actually displace that simple geometry and create new three-dimensional geometry of the quality that you're used to with Nanite. With nothing more than layering tile textures and using shader logic, you can make incredibly complex effects.
The guy sounds really, really excited just explaining it, because his voice is speeding up. He's like emphasizing his words. He sounds like he's super excited as he talks about it, because it's obviously a huge stride in rendering techniques.
So instead of me trying to explain it, let's get Colin to show the magic, and let's see a transformation of this face. This technique allows you to see an unprecedented level of geometric detail, but it's also memory efficient and can be changed dynamically in the runtime of your game. So things like footprints or tire tracks or even supernatural effects, if you such want them, can be visualized.
Ooh. Ooh.
And just to show how this simple geometry has now been transformed, let's have a look at the triangle view again. There you go.
So now it's the billions of polygons that Nanite can render.
What you expect from Nanite. So it's a really, really smart, interesting technique to actually get details into the games.
Yeah, so again, I'll emphasize, my point is, what if eventually these flat textures that we've got, what if eventually Ash's plan is to, or at least like trial tessellation in the world to make these flat textures pop, and as somebody mentioned in chat earlier, it would make sense to do it after this big lighting update.
All right, let me try this more long-distance mobility skill here. Talk to me about Leap Strike.
Yeah, so this is the most free mobile
distance.
Yeah, it's very far, and it doesn't require a target, unlike Blitz. And you're also gonna.
Okay, what did you think of Leap Strike? What did you think of Leap Strike? Yeah, Heroic Leap. Yeah, it's basically Heroic Leap, isn't it? 90% of these spells are just WoW spells. Did Arcage have a Heroic Leap type ability?
Basically, deal damage and AoE around.
Where you choose where to leap and then you jump into the air. Did Arcage have one of those?
So it's just a more powerful but less frequently usable.
You think it needs more of an arc?
Cool.
Well, we'll slow it down when he uses it.
Gap closer / opener if you even decide to use it as an opener.
So you think this needs more of an arc?
Oh my god!
Maybe it needs... yeah. But then again, is it designed this way specifically to combat vertical terrain? Is it designed this way to combat vertical terrain? And they did have it so it was an arc, but they changed it because when interacting with vertical terrain, it didn't quite work as smoothly.
I am the Juggernaut!
And less light. Well, let's look at the actual spell effect again.
Decide to use it as an opener.
It should copy the arc of Heroic Leap in WoW. I agree, I guess. Okay, yeah, maybe you're right. That's a literal comet. That is a literal comet.
Oh my...
But maybe that's part of the fun. Maybe that's part of the fun. Because maybe that big flash acts as a visual cue that tells your raid that a fighter has just leaped into your raid. So maybe that acts as a visual clue. Yeah. Ignore the supernovas. Behind enemy lines. Okay. That looks so shit. That looks so shit. What is that? That looks so bad. Who came up with that? Who came up with that? Who was at the office at REN'KAI? I thought to myself, all right, that looks really good. Hey, that looks really good, guys. Good job on that. Holy f***.
It happened.
Is it usable in midair? Yeah. So he jumps, right? I'll show you again. He jumps.
I've had more success
He jumps and then uses it. Look, watch.
when I'm covering gaps rather than actually like trying to go up different.
See? So that's him jumping. You see that?
When I'm covering gaps rather than actually like trying to go up different
Jumps,
verticalities.
uses it. There is a slight delay to it, isn't there?
Sometimes, yeah, it works.
There is a slight delay to it. I feel like, what if the ability removed the delay? Let me write that down for feedback, because I feel like that's one of the things that make WoW just feel good, right? It's the fact that nothing has any kind of build up to use, right? Everything is instant cast. When I press a button, and a button goes, right? And that feels good.
We did it, boys.
You think upgrading it might take away the delay? Yeah, it could be an upgrade option. True.
It happened. Very cool.
What about if an augment? What about if augmenting this ability with like lightning magic, or like some sort of water magic or something, removes this delay? Let me write that down too. So look when he uses it, right? There's this little effect. I'll pause it when it
Actually,
goes.
usually I've had more success when I'm covering gaps rather than actually like trying to go up different.
Right? You see this bit where he's charging up. You see this where he's charging up and he's sucking in the energy and then he leaps.
Verticalities.
That's a slight delay. And I feel like maybe an augment can remove that delay.
But sometimes, yeah, it works.
Oh, we did it. We did it, boys.
If they want the delay for like balance reasons and counterplay reasons, which is good. You know, counterplay is good. Then maybe allow an augment to remove the delay. Let me write down counterplay. Counterplay.
It happened. Very cool. All right, let's talk a little bit about. I thought I fixed time of day, but it feels like it's getting darker. I don't know. Let's talk a little bit about. Next up, these different forms that I'm seeing here.
Yeah, so
The forms. What did you guys think about the forms? Did you guys think the forms were a bit shallow? I think I would prefer it because by default the form doesn't reset your momentum. Do you guys think the form should reset momentum?
these are probably the biggest
Changing form should be a choice that you make that has an impact, I feel like. And being able to switch freely between them, I feel like removes that choice. And it's no longer a choice, right? It just becomes a thing you have.
contributor
A thing that you can just do whenever, right?
to your combat momentum.
Because those forms, they do big changes. They change the way you play drastically.
Resource. You can spend momentum, but it's a resource that's primarily meant to be built up and maintained because of the bonuses that these forms provide. So
So momentum isn't actually supposed to be consumed as a resource, which is why there's not many abilities who have it.
if we want to just look at one of the first ones here, we can go into a little more detail on how those work.
I'm actually going to make it a little bit... Whoops.
I wonder why they changed scene here.
My bad. I wanted to change...
Why do you think they changed scene here?
One of the first ones here, we can go into a...
So it's not like Rage. No, it's quite different to Rage. Yeah, it's very, very different to Rage, actually.
little more detail on how those work.
I'm actually...
It's because he's doing it in a console command. True, true.
We're gonna make it a little bit. Whoops. My bad. I wanted to change the time of day slightly. Get some better.
And this is the best way to do it. This is how you do it. You stop bringing up console commands on the screen. You just change character. Yes, this is how you do it. Nobody even realized that the console command's going on right now.
And that's really what the fighter.
Do you remember when? What the hell is this? Oh, that's the shout. Oh, that's a cool effect, actually. Oh shit! I didn't realize it distorted the air like that. That looks good. Wait, so why doesn't the mage's teleport look similar to this? Because the mage's teleport, this distortion effect looks amazing, whereas the mage's teleport distortion effect looks terrible. No, it's not the same as Blink. This is completely different. This is completely different to Blink. So I wonder if this is a redesign of the distortion, and then the Blink will also have this eventually. Because that looks good now. That looks polished as fuck. Also, what's this? Why does the screen flash?
Lose the attack speed.
What's going on here? Is this an editing mistake? This is an editing mistake. Intrepid! Intrepid! What are your editors doing? What are your editors doing?
Speed bonus, but immediately.
What is the transition here? How did that happen?
So if you were to change forms, you would lose.
Yeah, that's the transition, isn't it?
The attack speed bonus, but immediately gain the bonus of the corresponding.
How did that happen? They must have, because what I do when I edit, I have a pre-made like template, right? And within the pre-made template, when I start a video, I've already got the assets in the template. So what he might have done is they might also do a similar thing where they've got a pre-made template, but then he accidentally left the transition on one of the frames just in the middle of the video. He didn't realize. It happens a lot. It's very common. You think it's compressing artifacts? It's definitely not. It's an editing mistake. Trust me, I'm an editor. It's an editing mistake. It's not artifacts, mates. I literally edit every day. I edit every day. It's an editing mistake.
Nimbly. So if you need to, close the gap a little bit and your gap closers are...
Do you feel like the hair is missing physics?
Cooldown or whatever, this is a good way of traversing the field a bit faster.
Yeah, wow.
And is that okay? How about that? Is it okay that the hair doesn't have physics?
This is pretty quick. That's a significant speed boost.
Yeah, his hair's on steroids. Yeah, I don't think it matters, right? Does it matter?
And then the third...
Trolling. Why am I trolling? You think it needs physics? But I feel like it's hair that's standing on end, right? And I feel like when he's moving around so erratically, the hair would slightly jiggle.
Third one is more of a defense.
Yeah, I'm not a helmet main. I never wear a helmet. I never wear a helmet. I feel like if you're customizing your face and you're customizing your hair in the first place, and your face is the most important part of your whole character, right? Or at least in my opinion, your face is the most important part. It's the part that you spend the most time on, right? And I feel like if you wear a helmet, then you're kind of compromising that customization.
Defensive option.
But I think I'm in agreement that I don't think hair physics matter.
A bit more situational,
right?
But it is.
It's the same. I agree. I think cape physics is the same. I don't think cape physics matter. So many people are so focused on the cape, and I'm thinking to myself, does it matter?
A disable resistance form. This is form of fluidity, and while you're in it, you are much more difficult.
What's the latest news about Arcade 2? The latest news about Arcade 2 is that it's delayed to 2026, and it's now changed its focus to be a single-player story game. Is that correct?
Difficult to be CC'd, so you'd be more resistant to stuns, to roots, trips, pretty much anything that falls into.
Yeah, and it's trying to appeal to the console market. Yeah. That's the big thing. Yeah. So obviously, because of that, you know, what's the gameplay going to look like? How many spells are we going to have? Are we going to have only 3 spells or 4 spells? Like,
the CC category.
Try to sleep me or something?
Do you know what cracks me up, right? All these people, for the last 10 years, there's this large, there's this very loud minority of people who constantly go on about MMOs have too many spells. They've got too many spells, right? But the thing is, for the last 10 years, MMORPGs that have released have only ever had a small amount of spells. So I feel like the people that project that too many spells argument onto Ashes of Creation, they still use the argument of, oh, all MMOs have too many spells, when in reality, we haven't had an MMORPG release that's had a lot of spells in the last 10 years, have we? Again, you're not going to be actively pressing those 30 abilities. You're not actively pressing those. Your rotation is ideally you want your rotation to be about 4 to 5 abilities that make big impact and have a nice tight rotation and do extremely good synergized DPS. And you can and it's burst or sustain. And you either want to build for either of those. You want to build for burst, or you want to build for sustain. And if you're building for both, you're probably doing it wrong, right? Because if you're building for both, you're watering down the potential of either. So ultimately, your rotation is only ever going to be 4 to 5 abilities. And you know, if you're trying to piano around 12 abilities, that's your active rotation, then you've got to think to yourself, how long does it take for the first ability to come back off cooldown before you press the final ability? These are important parts and important aspects of making a build in an MMORPG.
We just, when we're testing these out, we want them to feel impactful, just to... And
it's like half the fun, in my opinion, figuring that shit out for yourself. That's why I don't like guides. I think guides are cringe. Right, a guy telling me how to play the class.
Validate that they are.
I'd rather go through the knowledge of understanding it myself and why that's the meta. Oh, it's the meta because of this, and this. Oh, I understand that. Okay, and I feel like being able to understand that also gives you a platform to tell other people, to teach other people, and then that plays into the whole social dynamic of an MMORPG in the first place, because you want to teach your guild mates. You know, say you do like a raid, or you're doing like you're grinding, I don't know, the Tower Coffin, right? You're grinding the Tower Coffin, and your mate's constantly dying, right? And you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, if this guy's constantly dying, or getting hit by cleaves, do you think this guy even knows how to play or knows how to make a build? And then you talk with the guy and you say like, hey, what's your build? I noticed that you were trying to solo kill that mob and it took you 4 times longer than it usually takes me. What's your build? And then he'll tell you the build, and then I'll be like, oh, that's shit. Do you want me to show you my build? And I'll teach you how to play it. And then you start talking, and then he's like, oh shit, I never considered that. And then you start teaching each other how to play. Isn't that what an MMO is all about? I don't know, man. I feel like that shit's lost.
You know,
in the current year.
Cool things, and then we start to balance to tone that back down.
Very cool.
Not nowadays, but why not? But why not nowadays? Because that's how my guild plays. We don't look at guides, and if I ever catch somebody reading a guide, I severely punish them. Right? You don't watch guides. Stop watching guides. If you want to learn how to play the game, then ask me. Ask me, and we will figure it out together, right? Because it's just a much more fun experience. Yeah, but you learn from streams on YouTube. Yeah, I just don't think that's fun. I don't think that's fun. I think it's more fun to talk to your guildies in game. Maybe I'm just old school. But you don't have to subject yourself to metagaming is my point, right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to subject yourself to metagaming. You subject yourself to metagaming, you do that. You put yourself in that situation. You go out your way to metagame yourself. You don't have to. Nobody's forcing you to do that. Nobody's forcing you. Why don't you instead try and talk to people? Newer generations, yeah, well, I mean, I feel like a lot of people, boomers in particular, they don't have a lot of patience. And it's taken a lot of effort to teach a few of my guild members who've never played MMOs before. It's taken a lot of effort, time, and energy to teach them the core mechanics of how an MMO works. However, it's been a very satisfying experience because now I feel like I have taught these people the fundamentals that allow them to learn themselves, and it gives them a platform to understand why mechanics exist and what they're supposed to do in a scenario where they're dealing with raid mechanics on the fly. Right, so now what we do is now, instead of looking at guides on how to beat this boss, instead we wipe to the boss. We pull the boss and we read his abilities as he uses them. We watch the environment as it plays out. We figure out what's going on with the fight as we wipe again and again and again and again, and we're learning together.
Meanwhile, you're getting increased attack speed. You're getting CC immunity. And whatever else it says.
Consume your combat momentum rapidly. Gain 20% increased attack speed and movement speed and immunity to disabling. I mean, it's only 20%. It's 20% increased damage for 5 seconds. I don't think that's I think that's pretty underwhelming, if I'm going to be honest.
Here,
Isn't it common for warriors in particular to have like a 30% damage increase for 15 seconds, and that's just a normal button to press. That's just part of your kit.
We've got 20% increased attack.
You complain too much, Imo. I don't know why. Every shit they do, I hear. I don't know why.
And move.
Wait. I don't know why, man. I don't know why, do I? I don't know why. What do you want me to say? I don't know why. Somebody said 20% for 5 seconds is a lot. I completely disagree. That's not a lot. That's trivial. I think that's trivial.
Charged up on momentum because it's essentially ticking it.
I think 50% is a bit more reasonable. What if it was based off of off another layer, right? What if it's based off of you get a % increased damage depending on how much missing health you have? So, for example, if you're at 100% health, you gain that 20% attack and movement speed. However, if you're at like 20% health, then this goes up by a certain amount, right? Whatever the balance would be, right? So depending on if you're low on health, you gain more benefit from exert, because it's kind of like a what do you call it when somebody's dying, and whilst they're dying, they've got like one final breath. Like, what's that called? There's a name for it, isn't there? Is it a death throw? It's like a death throw or a last stand. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Oh, and I gotta get off this form of fluidity. Let's go to...
Do ferocity.
Yeah, let's do ferocity.
You could probably blitz him for a head start.
Okay, so people were saying, like, the basic weapon attack. They were saying that the basic weapon attack has clunk to it, right? They were saying it's clunky. It's the reason why people are saying it looks clunky is because of the, like, the slight delay when it hits. So it goes like that, and then it... Is this why? Because it, like... Boom. That's one frame, right? That's one frame. Yeah, let's go this one too. Yeah, it's like they've chopped off a few frames. Yeah. So it goes like that. That's 2 whole frames. There. Yeah. Is that why people are saying it looks clunk?
You could probably blitz him for a head start.
I don't think I care. I don't think I care. I think it looks okay.
On momentum.
It's okay to have that little bit of I wouldn't say it's jank. I would say it's them attempting to add a frame or two of impact
Into an overpower.
You're barely going to use basic attacks. I disagree with that. I think basic attacks are going to be really important. For sustain, I think.
Keep an eye on your mana.
Especially for like a class like this that relies on this resource, right? Without basic attacks, you can't get this resource. It's a very limited way of getting this resource.
I mean, when you're ready to be stunned.
Maybe the basic attacks do too little damage, and that's why you think like basic attacks aren't going to be used very often. Maybe they do too little damage. But again, that's a balance issue, right? So who cares?
Okay, I'm almost up there. But before you stun me, let me
Ultimately, over the course of like a a 4 or 5 or 6 minute boss fight, the majority of your damage is probably going to be your basic attack, I would say.
Let me start doing some abilities.
I am feeling that wound.
Wait, just don't kill him.
Because look at these cooldowns. So we got 12 seconds. Wait, look at these cooldowns.
Wait, just don't kill him.
I'm not.
Yeah, the majority of damage is definitely going to be your basic attack. Just mathematically, right? Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's compare the new to the old. That's a good idea. So I go here. I'll find it real quick. This one, right?
Immersion in the game, and there's going to be a lot coming online. So I'm really excited to see what we have in store for.
What do you think? Better or worse? Do you think the new animation is better or worse?
For that, so yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever show it on stream.
The old one is better, but not by much. Actually, looks similar to New World's Great Sword. Don't go there. It looks nothing like New World's. I should fucking ban your ass, bitch. It's triggering me. You think the old is better? Old. You guys think the old is better?
Dream, but
Let's put them side by side. What do you reckon? The new one's much cleaner, the new one better, new one better, new one better. Yeah, I think I agree. Yeah, I think I agree. Yeah, I think I agree. I think the new one does look way cleaner. The only difference is that the old one looks like it's got more impact. Yeah, I think the new one loses impact, but that's okay, right? I feel like that's okay, because at the end of the day, the gameplay is what matters, not the impacts of the spells. The gameplay itself is what matters. The ability to move, the ability to press a button is way more important than the actual presentation of those buttons, in my opinion. Yeah. And I think that's where WoW succeeds, right? It feels good. You know, the animations are almost thrown to the wind in WoW. The animations are trash, right? But the reason the animations are trash is because they prioritize the gameplay, period. And that's why WoW succeeds in that aspect. And why I think Arcade is inferior.
All right, I'm ready.
I think.
Yeah, oh, I had an expression failure. Sad.
All right, well, let's use it without that. That used to work.
My bad. Guys, welcome to Bugs.
Yep.
That's okay.
Well, it's just an iteration, right? I mean, there's time to improve. Time to improve. I mean, time to improve the attack animation. You know, I don't really understand it. I could pretend to understand it. I could chat a load of shit and pretend I understand it. But I feel like what they're doing is skipping a couple of frames to give the feeling of impact. Whereas what I feel like instead, what they should attempt to do is to fill those frames with an impact effect. One that doesn't blind us, like the old spell effect did. Right? Do you know when he swang it and then it made this big old puff of smoke? Or you hit the earth elemental and it made the earth elemental spark, or whether, you know, get rid of that spark bullshit. Right? The spark bullshit's trash. But find some way to make it seem like the weapon connects with an entity without blinding it, without blinding us.
Very cool. All right, well, that is a very, let me just say, I'm sorry, let me speak on behalf of what I assume is our audience saying, holy shit.
True. Holy shit. What a great stream. 9 out of 10, like I said. 9 out of 10 stream. Fucking sick ass stream. Hey, REN'KAI revealed. That was unexpected. When Steven dropped that thing about REN'KAI, that was unexpected. REN'KAI, just out of the blue. He go, REN'KAI. What the f? REN'KAI. I thought REN'KAI weren't even going to make it. I thought they weren't even going to make it. But here we are, with a literal REN'KAI in the game. Yo, Steven, please leak a screenshot of the female REN'KAI this week or this month. Steven, leak a female REN'KAI. Just do it. Steal an image and leak it on Twitter. Just do it. Do it, pussy. I dare you.